Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche. And since we talked about the basics of setting up a bird feeding station with the podcast that we aired last week, I thought this week I'd try to focus on the logistics of winterizing your bird feeding station. So as we're getting ready for our Thanksgiving feast, we can also be thinking about how do we provide a great winter food feast for our feathered friends as well. So the first thing that's important to think about is the feeders and baths, their location in the landscape. And so one logistical thing to think about is your safety and getting to the feeders and the baths to be able to refill and clean during those hard, wet, slippery, cold winter months. So think about distance from the door that you might be going in and out. Think about the routes that you tend to keep clear on your property, maybe to get to a tool shed or access your garage or any other storage area, wood pile, something like that. Areas that you tend to keep clear adjacent to those paths would be really convenient place to have your feeding station set up. And a lot of people don't think about this, but where are your downspouts? And with our freezing and thawing weather and ice formation, trying to avoid those areas is better for your own safety. So it's good to think about setting these stations up if they aren't already, or moving them before the ground freezes solid. So if you're setting up a pole system with an auger and base like this, you definitely want to be doing that now and not waiting for those the hard ground freeze to happen. If you have feeders up in trees that might be hard to reach, where you might have to pull a ladder out to access, take them up or down, you might consider moving those or replacing those with something like a high reach or uplifter hook that you can put a pole or a broom handle in and be able to easily get them up and down from the tree branches without having to haul a step stool or a ladder trudging through snow with something like that. You also want to think about the bird's safety. So remember those magic numbers I talked about. You want your feeders or baths either on or within 3 feet of windows or more than 30 feet away. Obviously you want them where you can enjoy them from the inside, looking out at your windows, but you really want to minimize bird window collisions. And I have a whole Monday with Martha post on that. That is Monday with Martha number 78, so you can reference that for more ideas. But locating distance-wise where those feeders are relative to your windows, you can help protect the birds. You can apply different kinds of UV or refractive window clings on the outside to help break up the reflection of the habitat around the window, to help the birds recognize it as a flat surface rather than more habitat. There's liquid like UV applications that you can do. And for all of those, it's best to do that when temperatures are above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So now's the time to get your windows near your feeders prepped as well for your winter feeding station. And it's honestly easier to attach suction cups for hanging feeders or seed ornaments, that sort of thing. They also break up the surface of the window. If temperatures are below 50 degrees, you can warm the glass with warm water and then dry it quickly and apply, but it's certainly easier, now before we get into the super cold temperatures. And also think about providing the feeders in a sheltered location. So where are the windbreaks on your site? Can you use your home or other structures or evergreen trees or a hedgerow to to help shelter from the wind and provide natural cover for the birds to be able to escape and seek shelter if a predator shows up on the scene. So the same goes for water, being within 3 feet or more than 30 feet away, and heated bird baths are really helpful. Water is a really scarce resource in the winter. So when you're thinking about where to locate these, be looking for a GFI outlet on the outside of your building. You're going to need an outdoor rated extension cord, and think about where that won't be a trip hazard for you, and where it's easy to lug water to be able to rinse and refill, since you probably won't have an actively running hose during the winter months. I'm also a huge fan of using roofs and covers on feeders to help minimize the amount of rain that can get in and soak the seed, which can lead to mold and snow and ice buildup. And basically, it's less work for you keeping your feeders cleaned off during the winter. And it provides the birds with really great sheltered places to eat. So large hopper feeders with good capacity, like this magnet. And I love that a lot of these hilltop feeders have trays that easily remove. So if they fill with snow, you can just shake them out, dump them, clean them out really easily, and set them back up. So think about how easy it is to get the snow out of the feeders that you'll be using. A lot of the tube feeders, like these Aspect feeders, have different size clear plastic domes that come with them that will serve that purpose. But you can get creative. You can take something like this weather dome and a suet feeder and rig these two things together to help provide extra cover and snow and rain protection for your food items. Similarly, a clear cover for a square tray feeder or platform feeder. And some feeders, just by their design, have the roof built in, like this barrier guard feeder. The top really helps to shelter that area and keep it clear of snow and ice. Now is a good time to be making repairs on your feeders and monitoring them for loose parts. So before your fingers are all icy cold, now's the time to check and make sure all your perches are in place, any screws or bolts are tightened, that you're not missing any parts, and you don't have any like stray metal or wire or broken plastic or anything like that that could pose harm to the birds. So now's a good time to be thinking about those things, making those repairs, and that's something you want to check with each refill, and definitely after cleaning everything, make sure everything's good and tighten back up. You definitely don't want to be looking for missing parts in the snow this winter. It's also a good time to store any glass feeders or baths that you may have, or concrete, stone, other unheated bird baths that are sensitive to freeze-thaw cycles, and replace them with feeders that are more durable. So recycled plastic, metal are some of my favorites because they're so winter durable and easy to keep clean, disinfect, and get snow and ice off of. You also want to prepare an indoor location. So a big part of this is just planning ahead, having a place where you can, in a little bit warmer conditions, inspect, refill, and clean your feeders and baths. So you may need to store, if something's just too big and you can't clean it without being outside, having access to a hose. Maybe that's something that you store for the winter and switch to a smaller feeder. Just make sure you have your tubs, your buckets ready, a utility sink with access to warm water. And it's good to have secure food storage. preferably inside so you're not having to scrape snow and ice off of that, but something sealed in a cool, dry place where you can store your bird feed and keep out any critters that you don't want to have access. Also consider having emergency backup feeders. So say it's just really awful or you're really busy and you can't get your feeders cleaned right away, you may have a backup feeder that you can stick out. I love using seed cylinder feeders this way. So something like this with a preformed seed cylinder or seed log, they tend to go more slowly than loose seed. And because of that, I use them as sort of backup food for when I know my feeders might just empty out on a given day before I can get home and refill. I like knowing I have seed cylinders up, and the really big ones do last a long time, a week or longer, depending on how much bird traffic you're getting. So that's great to have out or have as backup. And, you know, really durable ones that you don't mind leaving out in the bad winter weather. And then having fresh ones that you can put out while you bring in the ones that just went through that ice or snowstorm and need to thaw out a little bit. I do get questions about nectar feeders. So we're in Michigan and we don't really have hummingbirds that overwinter. But I wanted to mention, for those of you that do live in states where that is a possibility, that you can, I've seen suggestions of using like warm wool socks, bubble wrap, or other insulating materials. You don't want anything that the birds could get caught up in or tangled in, but to help insulate the hopper and help keep the nectar warmer and from freezing. And there are companies who make like officially heated bird baths where the heater is all integrated to the feeder. That's what I recommend, just for your safety and the safety of the birds. Kind of rigging up lights or other electrical gizmos around feeders isn't necessarily the safest thing. So a feeder that's meant to be a heated feeder is a safe route to go. You can always pull those feeders in at night, but sometimes those hummingbirds really need the feeders late at night and very early in the morning for quick energy. So try to get them back out as soon as you can. So those are my kind of logistical ideas for winterizing your bird feeding stations. I hope those ideas help. And just want to mention, I'll link a few other Monday with Martha resources that I think might be helpful. I talk about winter wild bird feeding, so really focus on the foods to offer in Monday with Martha number 140. How to help wild birds in winter in Monday with Martha number 190. Talking about winter roosts for wild birds, so shelters and houses in number 141. How to clean your feeders and baths in number 60, part B. And again, preventing window collisions in number 78. So I hope that helps you get ready to feed your birds this winter. Take care and have a good week.
I wanted to offer a special thank you to our customers who participated in our first Pink Friday. Thank you so much for supporting our local business and shopping small first. We really appreciate that. And the whole Nature Niche team wishes you a very happy Thanksgiving.